Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow.
And welcome into the program. This is Your Course to Retirement. We have here with us the founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners, your resource, Grand Rapids, for a common sense approach to planning and some uncommon advice on how to plan for your financial future. Ron Corser, CFP, here with us. And Ron, we always appreciate the time that you provide and the guidance. Facing some difficult economic and financial headwinds here as we have moved through the first quarter of 2022, but it is Financial Literacy Month. So we're going to try to improve that financial education and understanding for the listeners again today.
Well, thank you for the introduction, and everybody listening to today's program, welcome. We're going to start off today's program talking about something nobody really wants to talk about, but it's right in our face. It's called inflation. And I'm going to just touch a little bit, kind of define what inflation is, and then maybe talk a little bit about what we can do to kind of deal with inflation to make sure that it doesn't absolutely destroy our life savings. So I guess starting out, the biggest thing to talk about inflation is what causes inflation. Now, I'm probably going to make some people angry, and for that, I wish I didn't. But inflation is not caused by the Ukraine war. That's not causing inflation. Inflation is a function of two things: how much money is printed, and something else called velocity. So let's examine those two, okay? Because I think if we get an understanding of what those two things are and what they do, then talking about inflation becomes a little more rational, and it becomes a little more understandable. So the first thing is, what causes inflation? Primarily, inflation is a function of how much money, paper dollars, have been printed. And it could be in rubles, it could be in any currency of any country, Zimbabwe, where they had crushing inflation. But it's a function of how much paper money has been printed and put into circulation. And in our country, we have put an enormous amount of that money. I read an article a couple of weeks ago that said approximately 20% of all the dollars in circulation worldwide has been printed in the last year. That's a profoundly scary number.
Wouldn't that mean, Ron, that the dollars that existed prior to that, their value approximately has been watered down by about 20%?
Absolutely. It's been estimated that since the Federal Reserve, and I'm going to say this, and hopefully they won't come and get me, or the fact checkers won't. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913. Since it was created, it has control over interest rates and money, really. The dollar is worth about 98% less today than it was in 1913. And on top of what we've already printed, we're continuing to make the dollar less and less valuable. The one thing that we hope won't change is that the dollar will still be the reserve currency, particularly when it comes to oil trading. So the number one part of inflation is how much money has been printed. And keep in mind, it's not just America and our banks that are printing money. Every central bank in the world is doing it. It's almost like a race to the bottom. Now, the second part of inflation is really important to understand. That's called velocity. What in the world is that? Velocity is, let's play this game. I'm going to buy something from you right now today because I think I may need it 30 days from now, but if I better buy it now because the price is going to go up, then you turn around and take the money I've given you and you buy some more inputs to create whatever it is you're creating. And you do it now as opposed to waiting because you think prices are going to go up. So velocity is simply an idea where businesses and people start to spend money today faster than they would to buy things that they may need tomorrow or next year. And as part of it, it's related a little bit to supply. So we know, for example, that used cars have gone up, 35 to 40% in the last year. And it's very difficult to find a good used car. So people, when they find a car, they do it. Home prices are another great example. People are bidding over and above what people are asking for because they want to get the house. Inventory is so low. If they don't get the house today, they may not get it tomorrow. So we have a function of two things coming together, almost a perfect storm, along with a lot of other things. We have a lot of paper money that's been printed in circulation, and we have people spending it more and more, buying things that they're either going to kind of put in reserve because they know prices are going up. So inflation is increasing slowly but surely because we have more dollars out there and they're going faster and faster being traded. Now, the other part to this whole pie is inflation is the result of something. It's not as if we woke up one day and somebody said, I'm going to create inflation. Inflation really is the result of something. It's a result of, yes, printing more dollars. Yes, moving those dollars in and out of consumption faster. But then there's another underlying part to this, which is kind of related to it. And we talk a lot about energy prices, commodity prices. If we think about oil, about energy, oil is not just about cars. It's not just about what's at the gas pump, although that's what aggravates people. Oil is used to create millions of different kinds of products. There's even things in our prescription drugs that have an oil part to them. So oil is one of those really basic commodities that flows through just about everything we do. So when the price of oil goes up, because what's happening now, demand for oil has gone up. You know, I agree with the president on that one. Yeah, there's more demand because of what happened with COVID. But we've also had a supply problem. So when you have more demand for a commodity, particularly like oil, and you don't have enough supply, the price goes up. And then the price of oil primarily is traded in American dollars. So it takes more American dollars to buy a barrel of oil. So when you put all of these things together, we have some serious inflation in our country. And they say, well, it's 7.5 or 7.9. Probably if we really sit back and take a look at how they measure it, it's just my opinion that if we measured it like we did when Ronald Reagan was first president, we're probably in double digits, 12 to 14% inflation. That's just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. But we know when we go to stores, we see higher food prices. We see higher prices for, yes, gasoline. We see holes in stores. We have a supply problem too with you can't get stuff. So a lot of it's coming together in a perfect storm. Do I think it's going to get better in the next 30 days? I do not. Inflation is not one of those creatures that'll go away in a couple months. I mean, even if we went back to creating the situation where America could be what they were a couple of years ago, a net exporter of energy. Even if that happened, we still have other supply problems. Yes, the Ukrainian war is creating other difficulties with wheat, soy, and those kinds of things, farm production, and also with just fertilizers. So all of this is coming together in a perfect storm. What does that mean for investors, for people who are retired or looking to retire? It simply means that we're going to be faced in the near future, however long that is, with rising prices and potential shortages. So this is going to have a pretty big impact on our life savings and our investment strategy. And that's where I want to go to now. I kind of hopefully didn't aggravate people or get people too frustrated, but inflation is something we need to talk about because yes, we can say, well, it's too high, it's going too high, but what is it doing to my life savings? What is it doing to my investment strategy? What is it doing to my ability to have a safe and comfortable retirement? And those are things we're going to talk about in the remainder part of the program. And so ladies, stay tuned. If some of what I've said already is of interest to you and you would like to have a conversation based on what we're going to talk about going forward, and you don't know that, but you can do the Carnac thing and just kind of guess, okay, I think this is the answer. Give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and we'll help you out with this. Inflation's not going away, so the only important question that we need to answer is, what am I going to do about it, or what can I do about it?
Well, again, if you would like to address inflation as just part of your comprehensive and holistic planning, and make sure that you have taken steps to identify and address what the potential effects of inflation could be into the future, Cornerstone Retirement Partners are your resource. Ron Corser, CFP, here on the program providing some overview and education, but always carefully planning for his individual clients, for their specific situation, and including all of the factors that we talk about each week on the radio program and on the podcast. Give a call, 616-301-2581. That's 616-301-2581, or you can visit online, cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. So Ron, really, if I heard correctly, it's kind of three things that you are paying attention to that are contributing factors to inflation. One is the money supply, and we can probably flash a chart on the video that shows from the Federal Reserve's economic data how much the money supply itself has increased in just a short period of time here. Number two, the velocity, basically the speed at which people are conducting transactions because they believe that the money buys more today than they think it will buy into the future. And then the third thing, supply chain issues, Econ 101, supply and demand. When supply is scarce, prices go up. So there could be a piece of this that may be considered possibly transitory, but most of this, it sounds like, is probably something that's here to stay and into the future. As it has in the past, the supply of money continues to expand. It's not like if I have a piece over here that's it, that there's no more dollars. The supply of money just continues to increase and increase and increase over time, which means that the value of those dollars and that money decreases over time as well.
Yeah, and I think the supply of money is going to go up and up and up and up. Why? Because that's all the government knows how to do anymore.
It seems so.
Now, I'm not here to bang on the government, but we all know that you can't spend your way out of a bad situation, out of debt, by spending more money. That seems to be such a simple idea to think about. You can't spend your way out of an inflationary spiral by printing more money.
But the Fed's number one weapon against inflation to try to keep it under control is interest rates. And so we are seeing rather hawkish language from Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying that they intend to continually aggressively raising that key interest rate over the course of the next year to year and a half.
It's going to be interesting to watch because we know a couple things. We know that when the Fed starts raising interest rates, if they keep doing it, history tells us that at some point in time, that creates recessionary problems. You can run into a recession, mild or deep. So on the other hand, if they don't raise interest rates, we continue to spend money, this inflationary thing starts to get out of control. It's almost as if the Fed is between a rock and a hard place, and it's a choose your poison. So let's say they continue to raise interest rates because they believe that's the only option they have to get a handle on inflation. There are a lot of people who think that would be the right thing, but let's take a look at what would be the problem. Number one, as they continue to raise interest rates, the value of bonds in anybody's portfolio will go down. It's a teeter-totter thing, ladies and gentlemen. When interest rates go up, the value of the bond traded on the secondary market goes down. It's that simple. So in a normal 60% stock, 40% portfolio, we have 40% bonds and other things in there. If interest rates continue to go up, the value of the bond portion of a portfolio is going to potentially start to drop. And it won't give us the buffer that we had hoped what bonds would do, or the income that we were hoping to pull out of it. So that's one issue to look at. The other issue is really simply one of, what do you think they'll keep doing? if we think about all the other stuff that goes into this, we're dealing with an election season. We're dealing with a situation where there seems to almost be an end of the world scenario. Let's spend as much money as we can spend to get our political priorities put in place, regardless of what might be the outcome. I go back to a while back, I heard that they're going to give out in some states gas cards because gas is so high, they're going to send out debit cards so people can buy more gas. And it's like, okay, at what point in time do our heads explode? We're going to put, that's just another way of putting more dollars into the system to buy more things that will push up the price of things we want to buy. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking at. So let's deal with, Peter, let's talk about you. You're going to be retired here in a short period of time, or your wife is already retired. And you've worked very hard in your life to save for retirement, to make good decisions, to work hard, to not spend as much as you make. You've sacrificed. And you're retiring, you have retired, you're retiring in a situation where the prices of things are going up. The value of your life savings is going down. And you look around for, well, what can we do? What are some of the things we should think about doing? So that's what we're going to talk about now. And there's really three things we can focus on. One is, how much risk are you going to take into your portfolio to make up for the loss of value, if you will, because of inflation? Are there other ways that you can increase predictable permanent income in your life, either through pensions or Social Security? And what can we do to create income streams? Because ultimately, in an inflationary environment, the real key is how much permanent income can I create in my retirement plan to make sure I have enough money coming in every month to pay my bills. No matter what happens, I need to be able to pay my bills, and I need to have, through Social Security, pension plans, created private pension plans that we'll talk about, I need to have as much income coming in that's permanent or guaranteed as I can create. So let's take a look at the first one. And ladies and gentlemen, if what we're talking about now has gotten your interest and you want to talk more about the impact of inflation or some of the things that you can do to protect yourself. Now, I will say this, if we get into the 15% inflation the way we measure it today, there's not a lot of places to hide, but we can still help people. So if you're interested about how does your portfolio, will it stand up to this inflationary spiral? Do you have enough permanent income coming in? And any other kind of concern you have, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your name, phone number in there, how we can contact you, and we'll help you. We'll give you the information you need to make really good decisions about your financial future.
Ron, do you find that this is especially difficult and challenging for those that are in that transitionary period between their working career and retirement? I mean, the inflation numbers that we are seeing right now are at or near 40-year highs. And so this generation that is getting ready to make that transition or freshly into retirement, really, they have not seen these kind of inflationary numbers during their working career. They saved what they were able to afford to save. They invested what they could. And now we've got a finite supply of dollars and an unknown duration of time that we need to make those dollars last through retirement. And oh, by the way, things are getting unpredictably more expensive day to day. It seems like it's a lot of headwinds that could reasonably cause a lot of concern and hesitancy.
You know, it's a great thing to talk about. There was a guy who said one day, a long time ago, he said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So in some ways, what does history teach us? And here's one of the problems for investors, is that too often we don't focus on history because we assume that things are different this time, that things are either better or worse, that nothing happened before that's going to impact us today. And yet when we go back, if we study what happens with inflationary pressures, it can be really scary. It can be really, oh my goodness, kind of time. Because when we go back to the last great push on inflation that we had, Ronald Reagan was president after Jimmy Carter. We had inflation in the 14 to 17% group. And how did they fix it? And this is one of the key things that history teaches us. How did the Fed fix this? They just went in there and they took interest rates through the ceiling. They just raised interest rates almost into double digits. Now, what did it do? It stopped inflation absolutely in its tracks. 2 years later, we were back to what we might call normal. But what it did produce was a stock market that famous word stagflation created, that we had a period of high inflation and no growth, and we fixed the inflation part, but we still were stuck with a stock market that didn't go anywhere. So I don't know if that's coming. There are people who think that that's a potential outcome. But when we study history, we can say to ourselves, look, that may be an option. If that happens, what's going to happen to my investment strategy? What's going to happen to my portfolio? What's going to happen to my life savings? Rather than saying, well, I don't want to think about it. So number one, here's one of the critical things to consider. I know we're in inflationary times here. I don't know where it's going to end. I do know that ultimately it will end because it always ends. It's just a question on, will there be a lot of pain or just a little bit of pain? The key is be very, very careful on how much additional risk you take into your investment strategy for retirement because you're trying to make up for inflation. So sometimes the idea is, well, if I'm going to make up for inflation, the stock market is basically the best place to do that. I'll have to take a little more risk because I got to get ahead of the curve. That is a really scary thing to start to do to your portfolio. Because when you take on more risk, you also take on the probability and possibility of more loss. So one of the things I caution people about when we do reviews with our clients and things, or I talk to somebody new, is let's make sure that we have some sort of handle, if you will, a real firm grasp on how much risk, stock market risk, we're bringing into our life savings. Now, I say this because it's really, really important. You can do a lot of things in terms of investing, but the most important idea to hold on to is something called risk-adjusted returns. So you can go, in a great sense of things, you can take all your money down to the casino, put it on 14 red, it'll be different this time. And man, if you're right, you're going to be in hog heaven. You don't have to worry about anything. But if you're wrong, it's not going to be very nice. And most of the times when I joke with our clients about this, or people that say, well, I don't even go to the casino, that would be dumb. And yet we have to understand that the stock market has a little bit of a casino flavor to it. So one of the keys to investing in this kind of environment is to make sure you really understand how much risk you're taking in your portfolio. And our clients understand it because there's a way to measure risk. You can actually measure risk in the stock market, in the bond portfolio. There's real numbers to measure it. And the other part is, are you doing something in your investment strategy that has sort of a bottom to it that protects a certain portion on the downside? That kind of investing is becoming more and more important. If we think about current investment strategy, basically retirement planning, most firms go to that 60-40 idea, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. It's designed to work really well when markets go up. When markets wobble or go down, it's not built to do that. But there are ways to build a portfolio that will give you some upside potential, but putting in a bottom side protection for you. And we're doing that more and more with clients in this environment. So ladies and gentlemen, if some of this is starting to make some sense, that yes, you need to have growth, but you also need to do it rationally and protect them on the downside, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you, answer your questions, provide information you need to make really good decisions going forward.
Again, we are talking with Ron Corser, CFP, founder there at Cornerstone Retirement Partners. For the first half of the program, we've been addressing inflation. What can you do in your planning to help address inflation and offset its impacts? Ron has said that taking more risk with your portfolio may not be the right answer. In fact, that could potentially lead to a whole nother set of risks. Now the dollars are worth less and you have less of them. So let's take a measured approach. Let's consider all of the options rather than taking on all of the risk of the market with an even greater portion of your life savings. Maybe you want to consider something with a little bit more upside potential, but also has defined outcomes. It sets some parameters on the possible outcome that you could have, or defines what that outcome is. And with increasing interest rates, maybe we can see some advantage there. But one thing is for certain, you must include inflation, even if it's back to more of a normal routine kind of inflation, in your projections, in your plans, and in all of the assumptions for what retirement will look like, because costs and prices do go up moving into and throughout the years and into the future. If you want to make sure that that has been addressed in your plan, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, 616-301-2581. That is 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Don't go anywhere. Much more when we come back here on Your Course to Retirement with Ron Corser, CFP. More information that you need to know to plan for your financial future with confidence when we come back. And welcome back into the program. This is Your Course to Retirement with Ron Corser, CFP, founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners. If you've got questions or concerns about your planning with your investments, with your finances for your retirement, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Ron always provides some information, education that you need to know here on the program, but also gives the valuable opportunity to come in for some one-on-one financial education, counseling, and direction. If you'd like to take advantage, again, pick up the phone, give a call, 616-301-2581. Ron, we've been talking about inflation. It's a big factor. It's a big issue that we are facing currently with the economy, with the day-to-day prices on everything. Now, for retirees specifically, Social Security is supposed to have some offset, a cost of living adjustment that helps us to address inflation. Does it?
It really does. And this is for people who are not claiming Social Security. But determining what's the best option for you in claiming Social Security benefits is really an important piece of the whole retirement planning picture. And whether you're 50 years old or 65 years old, it makes sense to work with somebody who can help you look at different investment strategies on your portfolio, but also different income strategies for your Social Security benefit. And there still are some, and some are really good. Now, there's no cut and dried, you better take it at 62 because it's going to be gone. I hear that a lot, and it's not going to be gone. They may make some adjustments to it. But one of the things that's important to understand is that Social Security is a key part of your income plan. And as we'll see as we continue to talk, having as much income coming in from different places is the real key to financial security in retirement. So when it comes to Social Security benefits, when do you take them? How do you draw? You need to work with somebody who can actively show you the different options you have, particularly if you're married, your Social Security benefits, because there are some. And it's a key planning topic to take a look at. In our firm, we have my wife, Nancy, who does the Social Security planning for people. It's part of what we do along with what she helps with the healthcare part. So she does the Medicare, health insurance if you're under 65, long-term care kind of planning, but we also do Social Security planning. It's a really important thing to do, to know what your different options are, to figure out what's the best plan for you. Social Security does have kind of a COLA adjustment, a cost of living adjustment. But here's the rub, and the government can be really kind of interesting in how they do this. Whenever you have a Social Security increase, that automatically allows the government to increase what you pay if you're a Medicare and your Part B premium. They cannot raise the Part B premium unless you have an increase in your Social Security benefit. So think about this. This past Social Security benefit was pretty hefty, almost 6%. But guess what? So was that Part B thing in your Medicare program. It went up dramatically too.
My mom used to talk to me, Ron, and she would make the comment, well, that really went in one ear and out the other. And in this case, I feel like that's the government with these cost of living adjustments and then the Medicare increases. The money went in one pocket and then right out the other.
You know, maybe there's a lesson in there for all of us that there's nothing free when it comes to the government supposedly giving us money. There's nothing free in the government because the government can't give us anything that they haven't already first taken from us. You know, it's a really simple idea because they don't create anything. But we're dealing with this. So one of the keys is to get a really firm Social Security analysis so you know what your different options are. Then you can make a great decision as to how and when to apply for and take your Social Security benefit. Well, it's important that you do it.
They also don't seem to really pay attention to kind of their own numbers, because while we got a historic cost of living adjustment to begin 2022, 5.9%. So if we were receiving $1,000 a month, now we receive $1,059. But the government itself stated that pay inflation over this period, year over year, has been more like 7 or 7.5%. So the cost of living adjustment didn't even follow those same numbers. And while that cost of living adjustment is nice, I think to your point, Ron, the strategy for claiming and collecting our Social Security may be very important, because isn't there a time after full retirement age or up to 70 years old where the benefit can increase as much as 8% per year automatically?
It can, and it can. And so if you take it at 62, for example, it gets locked in. But the other downside of taking it early, just because you want to take it, is that there's income limits. The government says you can only earn X number of dollars, a little over 19,000. Any money over that, you start to give back benefits. When I really think about that, that makes my head explode. Wait a minute. You took my money to put into Social Security. Now you're going to take my money. If I take Social Security, you can potentially tax my benefits again. And you'll only let me work so many hours a year, because if I make too much money, you take my benefit back.
Yeah. Taxes and penalties, two separate issues there.
Yeah. It makes my mind blow up. That's why you need a great Social Security analysis. We can provide that for you listening out there as to what your options might be and how they fit into your whole plan. So that's a key thing. So give us a call at 616-301-2581. 616-301-2581. We can help you with Social Security analysis. We can help you if you're 65, getting into the Medicare system. There's a lot of options available. Sometimes it's kind of hard to sort through all of that, but we have a staff here. My wife, Nancy, runs it to do that kind of help for people. And keep in mind that the key to great investing in the future, starting today, is risk-adjusted returns. What's the least amount of risk I have to take to get what I need from the stock market? What's the least amount of risk to get what I need? Critical answers are needed on these questions. We can provide that for you. So give us a call at 616-301-2581 or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and we'll help you with that.
Truly is the foundation for confidence in your lifestyle and in retirement. And if you'd like to get that plan put together, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. But Ron, this really does emphasize the value of strategizing, of coordinating, and in diversifying your streams of income. Don't just take an income, don't just draw from your investments, but really think through the process of when and how and which accounts we are going to tap into.
Yeah, an income plan of retirement is not the following. Well, I have a 401k, I'll just take money out of it. 401k is nothing more than a way to invest money. It's just a vehicle that gives you tax deferred savings for a period of time, and then you have to take money out and get taxed. It's not an income plan. An income plan is a plan that says I have all my life savings, I put it into different buckets, so to speak, to generate income. And here's a tidbit. This is a nugget. Take notes. Unless you're driving, then don't take notes. Just keep both hands on the steering wheel. You need to have a really successful retirement plan has at least 4 different streams of income. If you can get to 4, you're going to have a pretty safe, peace of mind kind of retirement plan. So let's talk about what those might be. The key to a great retirement plan is not large cap, small cap, baseball cap, hub cap, all those caps. Let's go for the gusto. Market always goes up over time, and it does. You just may run into a bear market when you're retired, which will be deadly. So let's think about income and retirement. You need 4. What are they? Number 1, what do you have now going for you? Social Security is one. It's a permanent kind of plan, and it's not going to go away. The government is not going to keep you, anybody over 50, out of the Social Security system. I don't know what they're going to do to my children and grandchildren, but we'll probably be long gone by the time that happens. So everybody 50 and over is going to get a Social Security benefit. And the question is, as we talked earlier, how do you maximize that? But that's one stream of income. What's a second stream of income? Well, just what you're investing, your life savings. Do you have an investment strategy that's built on income and then growth? It's very key. Built on income and then growth, not growth, then income. Well, if it grows at 4%, I can always take 3% out or 4%. It's keyed on income, not growth. You need growth because let's assume you're going to live in retirement. God lets you live for a while. You can live in retirement for 30 years. So you need to have your life savings have the opportunity to grow. But the key to being your strategy is how much income can I get? So that's the second way. A third way might be to, if some people we have as clients own real estate, rental income and things like that. That is a great inflation protector, and it's a great source of retirement income. And you have to be able to, say, buy real estate investments and manage it or put it into a management firm and let them do it, and you just take whatever cash flow you have off of it. Another way to deal with it is you can use some of these non-traded, very illiquid investments that have real estate in them as another source of income. So that's like a third place. And work could be a fourth place. And I'm a big fan of this, if you will, because I do it in my own portfolio. And I'm going to use a 4-letter word that a lot of people go, oh my goodness, annuities. You know, what's interesting, in a Secure Act that was just passed in the House of Representatives, it has to go to the Senate. They got a lot of nice things coming in there. But one of the parts of that bill is that they're going to allow annuities to be part of 401k plans. Now, they're going to be structured a little differently. I won't go into details. But the simple fact that the United States government has said, yes, I think having an annuity in a 401k plan is a great idea because annuities do one thing better than any other kind of account, and that's create income that you cannot outlive. It's permanent. It's protected. So if the government finally has come around to the fact that maybe because things are going to get a little dicey in the future, we need some protected permanent income, maybe that's a source of income that you ought to take a hard look at. Now, we've talked in this program a lot about annuities, and it's worth a whole hour to talk about. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, why I bring it up now. Annuities, whether they're variable or fixed, it's jargon, they do one thing very, very well that nothing else does. They can be constructed and created in a way for you that will give you a stream of income that you can never outlive. And the question always becomes, well, how much risk are you going to take? If it's a variable annuity, that's nothing more than an option, stock market option. Principal is not protected, guaranteed. If it's a principal protected annuity, what we call in the industry a fixed FIX annuity, the principal is protected. It will provide income, and a lot of times income on both of these accounts that will grow over time. So it's an important thing to look at. It's not right for all your money, but it could be for another piece of your retirement account, that whole piece where you're trying to figure out, where am I going to get the income I need? And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if you can get to 4, you're going to have a really great, potentially wonderful retirement, because that income is not going to be hindered or damaged like it would be if it was just money invested in the stock market, hoping that the market would go up. So, ladies and gentlemen, if talking about how to create different streams of income to create a more stable and potentially favorable income and retirement plan, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and put your name and number in there. We'll contact you. We'll get you the information you need so you can make really great decisions. So give us a call, 616-301-2581.
616-301-2581, the number to call. This is the Secure Act 2.0 that Ron is referencing here. We had the first Secure Act, which the government loves acronyms that don't end up reflecting what the true measure of the bill achieves and accomplishes. But the acronym was Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancements Act. The Secure Act 1.0 was passed at the end of 2019, went into effect in 2020. Ron, this one goes even further in the inclusion of this component of allowing options for guaranteed lifetime income right inside of our company sponsored retirement plans, those 401ks, just speaking to the value and the importance to retirees of having some additional options and components of guaranteed lifetime income.
That's critical. That really is. You know, I can remember I met a gentleman, really nice. He and his wife retired from a company here in Grand Rapids. They had worked piecework and everything, and they worked afternoons and worked overtime, and they had accumulated. He told me, I met him in 2003. They told me he retired at age 58 in 1999 with almost $700,000. Incredible, right? The reason he took early retirement is because he had had 2 mild heart attacks. And the idea in his mind of living to 90 was probably slim. So he and his wife decided to take early retirement. They had enough money to buy health insurance. Everything worked out well, he said, in 1999. And then the market collapsed in 2000. And this is where we talked about in the beginning of this program. It's really important to try to force ourselves to look at history in the stock market. It really is, because these guys ran right into it. They retired. He said at the end of 1999, he spent more money than he thought, and he had more money than he started with. And then he never made a change in 2000 to 2002. When I met him in 2003, he had I remember this number, $189,000 left. Mm. His entire retirement life plan was crushed. Why? Because like a lot of people, he believed that this time it was different, that technology was going to make all the difference in the world, that everything was changed, and just let it rip because we had a great 5 years before. We got another great 5 years coming. He didn't even have Social Security because when I met him, he was just getting to the point where he could get it. So this is one of the scary things about when governments try to convince us that things are different. They really aren't different. They just come in a different color, but it's the same thing. So what the Secure Act did, whenever the government, I always laugh, whenever the government uses these acronyms, the Secure Act, or I'm going to really help you act, this is going to be great act. I always get a little nervous because I think, what's it going to do? So a couple things in there that really are good. Number one, they're going to increase the age at which you have to begin to take the required minimum distribution.
Again,
that's what you have to take out of your account, your IRA accounts every year so they can tax it. Right now it's 72. It was raised from 70.5. It's going to go over the next few years to 73, 74, and ultimately 75. And people can say, well, that's wonderful. I don't have to take it, because there still is a pretty good handful of folks that really don't need to take out the required distribution. But as Ed Slott says, and I'm one of Ed Slott's elite advisors, he cautioned people not to get too excited about that, because all that's going to do is create a bigger first year withdrawal. They're just allowing you to postpone it. They're not giving you a break on how much you take out. So if you have normal market growth for 3 years and you finally get to take it out to 75, you just have to take out more. That's going to be taxed more.
Yep.
So the government giveth and the government taketh away.
Yeah. Because, by the way, those requirements are based on life expectancy at certain ages. The goal of that chart is essentially to have you exhaust the account over the rest of your remaining life expectancy. And if, oh, by the way, you beat them to the punch and pass those assets on to the next generation, then they have to take it out over just 10 years.
Yeah.
So
here's the other thing to remember about requirement distributions. The government has a chart. If you live to be 115 and you still have money in an IRA, they will require you to take out 52% of it. So you can't get away from this. Now, one of the solutions potentially for some people is to do it sooner than later, and that's to create Roth IRA accounts, do Roth conversions of your tax-deferred money in IRAs. That takes a little bit of analysis. We can help with that. We're doing that more and more with people because more folks understand this simple idea that probably what we pay in income tax in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be more than what we're paying today. I believe that. I hope I'm wrong. Just my opinion and the opinion of a lot of other people. So if that's what your opinion says, then maybe we can help you create a Roth strategy where we take money out of your IRA that's going to be taxed forever, like a big hammer every year, and convert it into tax-free accounts in a Roth account. So if that's important to you, you want some help with that, because there's a process we have to go through to do it properly. It's not a guesswork. Give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and we'll help you with that.
again, contact Cornerstone Retirement Partners, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Your opportunity for a complimentary and comprehensive financial investment and retirement plan review and analysis, looking at all the aspects of your money and the work, the job that it's doing for you to make sure it is helping you achieve your important financial goals. 616-301-2581. Now, Ron, when we started the program, we talked a little bit about inflation, and the Fed's weapon against this is to increase interest rates. We spoke about that with a little bit of caution, but on the other hand, are rising interest rates going to be beneficial for savers, or maybe even more so for those retirees who are looking to produce some type of measurable cash flow without taking on more risk?
Well, ultimately, CD rates will go up. Banks can turn on a dime when it comes to manufacturing a CD. So, we think of CDs as being safe. They are considered to be guaranteed money when you put them in a CD, money market. So at some point in time, with interest rates going up, we should see increases in the CD rates and money market rates. It still won't be enough to keep up with inflation, but what it will do is it'll give some folks a peace of mind of having money in the bank to earn a little bit of interest and have it safe. And that idea of safe is really important. And we've talked about that, today's program, other programs. The more, whatever you call safe money you can create in banks or in principal protected annuities, the better off you're going to be down the road. Now, here's another benefit that I think every once in a while the government makes a mistake. And they give us something that they really don't understand was good. And that's this. There's a makeup provision that we have. When you're over 50, you're allowed to save more, either in IRAs or in your 401k plan. And what they've done in this secure bill, if it passes the Senate, is they said for a very unique subset of potential retirees. Normally, in a 401k plan, you can put up to $6,500 if you're over 50, over and above anything else from your employee part. It's a catch-up provision. So let's follow me closely. What this bill allows is that for people who are 62, 63, and 64, is that right? Yes. They're going to allow you to increase that catch-up provision from $6,500 to $10,000. Now, here's the planning strategy for this, ladies and gentlemen. Don't put that, unless you just can't stand paying taxes. I would suggest you consider not putting that into your tax-deferred account, but rather if you have the ability to put it into a Roth 401k or a Roth 403b account, I would encourage everybody to consider doing that. Talk to your tax person to see how much sense that can make. But it's a way to boost the savings that you're making in tax-free accounts, into Roth accounts. The money's never going to be taxed. And some people say they're going to change the rules on that. My response is really simple. They're not going to change the rules on saying, well, we used to tax that money, now we're not going to. Now we changed our mind, we're going to tax it. I think it's more likely, for example, and this is just my opinion, that they will ultimately say, effective next January, you're not allowed to have any more Roth accounts. But if you already have one, you can keep it and use it. That's just my opinion. And so I would encourage everybody, just from taxes are going to go up, you believe, over the next 5 or 10 years, the more money you put in a tax-free bucket, the better off you're going to be in retirement. Now think about this. This is a little strange way to look at, are we staying ahead of inflation? You put money in a tax-free Roth account. You put it into a CD. CD pays 1%. Inflation 7.9. No, we're not staying ahead of inflation, but at least we're making something. Or you can say, I'm going to put all my money into the stock market, because if the stock market returns 8, and inflation's 7.9, I'm going to be ahead of the game. Now, here's where I kind of ask people to consider the risk. If inflation is 7.9% right now, and the market goes down and you experience a 10% loss, have you kept up with inflation? Let me say that one more time. Inflation 7.9. You put money in a stock market investment account. Inflation 7.9, but the market goes down 10% or more. Have you kept up with inflation? Most people, when they think about it, just say, no, we really haven't. And see, that gets back to our first part that we talked about. You need to make sure you really understand how much risk you're taking in your investment strategy. The idea of taking more risk because inflation is so high is really a scary thing to do, because the markets can turn on a dime, can't they? So invest with the idea of, I want to get the most I can, but I want to take the least amount of risk to get my objective. And secondly, do I have an advisor who will work with me that will create a strategy or strategies that will protect me to some fashion on the downside? So if the market goes down, I don't go down all the way with the market. So those are important planning concepts. We can help you with that. There's nothing to be, I tell people, we can be afraid of inflation and all the craziness around us, or we can say, it is what it is. What am I going to do about it? I tend to be the one that says, it is what it is. I really don't like it. It makes me a normal human being. What am I going to do about it? I can choose to do nothing, or I can choose to do something. For those of you who want to do something, or at least talk about what those somethings might be, give us a call, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. We'll give you the information you need. We'll help you. And we'll give you some strategies that perhaps can create a little bit of higher probability of success in your retirement planning.
Always a good time and always informational food for thought with Ron Courser here as we look out and help you make informed, educated, and well thought through decisions with your money. You got to have all of the information. You really have to have a course of action. And for your course to retirement, pick up the phone and give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call. They are willing to sit down with you, have the conversations, run the detailed analysis and reports for all aspects of your plan, and help you come up and come together with that course to retirement plan, detailing the steps that you should be taking into your financial future with your money in order to achieve your important financial goals. 616-301-2581 is the number to call, 616-301-2581. Ron, we always appreciate the time, the information, the perspective that you provide here on your course to retirement.
Thank you, Peter, and I thank everybody for tuning into today's program. Drive safely. Eventually, summer's going to come in Michigan, and it's going to be a wonderful experience, I'm sure. So take care, everybody, and God bless you.
Tune into Cornerstone Retirement Partners' full radio program, Your Course to Retirement, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock at News Radio WOOD, or visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the products featured